Today's lesson is your go-tos. What are your go-tos? Well, these are lines that you use when you're announcing, and they're not canned, it's not fake, but they're lines that you use when you're announcing. Like, if you, let's put you in a position where you're a reporter, okay? You're the person who's in the field, who's in the dugout, who's wherever you are, you're down below. And you have two announcers that are up high in the booth, and they send it down to you as the reporter role. So, some of your go-tos as a reporter would be, thank you, Jeff and Rick. Maybe that's their name. Thank you, Jeff and Rick. Yes, Brad J down here in the mix. I'm here on the beach right now. The tide's supposed to be coming in here in a little bit. We're not too worried about it. See, that was my go-to to thank them to come out. Now, how would I go back out of that to those guys again? How would I go back to the booth? Well, it'd be like, well, the tide's not coming in. Looks like the heavy stuff's not going to be coming down for a while. Back to you guys in the booth. There you go. Those right there are go-tos, okay? You get hired to be that reporter, and you get hired to go out there and talk with people about the competition, but you have no ins and outs, which are considered your go-tos. You gotta have go-to lines. You gotta have that. If I send it down to you, and I'm up in the booth, and I said, let's send it down to Brad J down the mix. Brad. And then I start down the mix. Hi, I'm Brad J. What did I just do wrong? Right. I introduced myself after the announcer who was sending it down to me already said my name. Why are you saying your name twice? You don't need to say your name. You already said your name. You don't need to say your name again, okay? So pay attention what the people in the booth are saying. Those are their go-tos. So if they're gonna send it down, they'll go, let's send it down to the third member of our team, Brad J, standing by below. Brad, thanks, Rick, Jim, Brad J down here on the beach. So I said it again. You don't need to say your name, okay? He says it, let's send it down to Brad J. Thanks, guys. As you can see behind me, the tide is moving on. Things looking a little dangerous right now, but we expect the tides to really max out in the next hour. Back to you guys in the booth. See? Back to you guys in the booth. If you have a brain fart and you forget their name, you gotta bail out, okay? That's how you went. All right. Keep your cool. Keep your cool. If you got go-to lines and you can get to commercials, or you can send it down to the third member of our team, or you can get to some sponsored videos, keep your cool and do just that. If you start getting flustered, that is gonna show every single time. And in a lot of big events, you don't have a lot of time to prepare. So if you're doing a major event, right, a huge event, they may only allot so much time for you to talk in between competition runs. It might be a minute, it might be 2 minutes. You might have studied for a week straight and you have all this information on everything possible that you could talk about, but you don't have time for all that. So what do? You start highlighting things and using your go-tos to refer to those different things when you're announcing. It's a little tricky to do, but when you're going to a commercial, you tease what's coming up next. So here's a go-to for that. All right, when we come back, we have the third runs coming up, the third and final runs. The battle for the gold, the silver and bronze is coming up right after this. See what I did there? Now I gave them time to run a commercial, okay? I didn't say, hey, we're gonna go pay some bills or take a look at this commercial. I said, we're gonna come back. I teased what was coming up. We're gonna come back to the third and final run to decide the gold, silver, and bronze right after this. Boom, it's out, okay? Those are go-tos. That's how they're done. It is super easy, right? I remember when I used to go to events, I would get so frustrated in the early days because I would get all this material given to me, like stacks and stacks of material to try and study and get through and try to be ready to announce. And it was almost information overload. So what I did, I created go-to lines and I created a one sheet. I got the most important stuff that I felt was the most important stuff on that competition, and I put it down on a one sheet. That way I could reference it nice and easy because you don't have a lot of time. So if you have that stuff written down, you can look at it. If you're at a big event and you have a minute to get your point across and you can't look down real quick, you're not gonna be able to find anything if you have a stack of paper that's about 6 inches thick and try and find one item inside there that pertains to what's going on. It's nearly impossible. So always have your go-to line. Some of the ones I like to use when we come back, okay? That's particularly interesting when you're going to a commercial, you're going to a video, you're going to whatever, you tease what's coming up. Why do you do that? That gives the people that are watching a vested interest in staying around. Why? Because there's a payoff if I stay around. After this commercial, this is coming up. So that's why when we come back. All right, after this, or one of the things I always say is this. We have the best medical in the business. All right, I do a lot of competitions. No secret there. But when someone has a crash and a bad accident in a competition that I'm announcing, one of my go-to lines always been, we have the best medical in the business. And you know what? When you're doing major events, you do have the best medical business. So you're not lying, but it's a go-to line. I also tell people when someone's down and injured, I tell the crowd to send out your positive vibes, okay? That's not asking someone to pray for someone, but that's, we have the best medical in the business, send out your positive vibes. 2 go-tos in a situation that you weren't expecting to deal with because of an accident. So when it comes down to it, have your go-to lines, know how to receive a toss from an announcer in the booth, know how to send it back up to an announcer in the booth, send it to a DJ, send it to a reporter, go to commercials, play a video, have your go-to lines, your ins, your outs, go-tos, so important. Tame your talent.